We got another special guest today. He started out at Charleston Southern and then was a walk on and eventually worked his way up all the way to a full ride. He started out in high school only throwing 46 feet, and by the end of his career, he was at Samford and he broke the school record where he threw 61 meters in the hammer. That's Seth Wolfe.
Hi, man. How you doing today, bro?
Good, man. Doing well, sir. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Yeah, getting towards the end of indoor season. Everything doing well. It's. I'm glad you came on. Thank you for reaching out and everything. And obviously you were talking to me about how you went to Charleston Southern initially and as a walk on, and then eventually all the way to a full ride. So obviously we want to get talking about that. But like what made you first like start getting into throwing?
Yeah, it's an interesting story for sure. I was like you. I played football growing up my whole life.
Yeah.
And honestly, uh, since I was 5, played football. You're in the South. I grew up in Atlanta, Georgia, so big football
Yeah.
state. A lot of great talent comes out of Atlanta, comes out of Georgia. Or Georgia and Alabama are always kind of competing, like who's got the best talent.
Yeah.
So Um, that's what I thought the plan was to go, play college football. And I get to my junior year of high school, I got no offers, and that's a bad place to be as a football or a track athlete.
Yeah.
Um, and so I was about 6'4", 220 pounds playing center, and that's just not where you want to be.
Yeah.
Getting pushed around, not really pushing people around. So, um, anyways, I flashed forward through senior year, had a good season. We made playoffs, had a good team, whatever. And um, still no offers, a couple walk-on opportunities. And so one of them was Charleston Southern. So I've been in contact with the Charleston Southern coaches, and there were some really good dudes brought me up there. That was like my only D1 opportunity. It was FCS, small ball, nothing like Alabama. But
Mm.
so I go up there, I visit. I basically sign kind of like a preferred walk-on spot, if you will, in 2017. And by the summer, the whole coaching staff left, and they went to Coastal Carolina to go coach. It was Jamie Chadwell and his crew that had like back-to-back ranked years at Coastal Carolina. Now
Yeah.
Jamie Chadwell was at Liberty. That was the coach who recruited me. So it was awesome, but at the same time, it was like, what do I do?
Yeah.
So senior year of high school, I'd thrown for the first time shot and disc. And man, I don't know if you looked at my number. Dog, I threw 46 feet and 125 in disc coming out of high school.
See, I just had on Luke Warren the other day, and he's thrown 20 meters now. He threw 46 feet in high school. So yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Gosh, he's a stud. Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, so we get to the summer, and like I can't get in contact with the new coaching staff, and then I finally do, and they're like, "Hey, man, we don't really want you.
Hmm.
Like we don't even want you to walk on."
Yeah.
So that hurt my heart, hurt my feelings. My parents were like, but at the same time, I'd already signed up for classes, didn't apply to any other schools. So I was like, I guess I'm just going to go be a NARP and see what happens. And about that time, middle of the summer, I get a call from Coach Brandon Blanton, the throws coach. And he's like, "Hey, buddy." Like, "Hey, were you wearing a black t-shirt at your, at like the orientation day?" And I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Well, you're pretty big. I saw that you threw a little bit." And I was like, "I mean, barely." He was like,
Yeah.
"Well, you want to walk on? Like, we go to Clemson, we go to South Carolina. You'd be a part of the team. You'd have a spot on the roster. You can compete for a scholarship if you show up and score in our conference." And I was like, "Yeah, absolutely." So I didn't even go try out the football team. I went straight into track, and it was awesome. I
Heck
never
yeah.
look back. I don't regret it a single. I don't regret that decision at all.
I was about to say that's awesome there because I mean, obviously, I'm assuming you with football you reached out to a few different places and everything, so you just made that decision. So that's pretty cool to just have it right there to be able to do. But I mean, especially at a smaller school, like I mean, it's why not? I mean, there's no point in not doing it there, especially from like his perspective. But so once you actually ended up like going there, because you threw eventually at Samford, you broke the school record in the hammer. But like, what was it like initially when you first got to Charleston Southern, like starting out and everything? Like, what was that experience like?
It was humbling, man. And I do really think that God pushed me into that position because I had always been kind of carried by a good football team through success. And you know this better than anyone, man, is like when you step in that ring, that success is on one person.
Yeah.
You are the owner of that success. And so that humbled me to, like, unlearn bad habits in the disc, bad habits in the shot. And I was being taught the weight and hammer my freshman year from scratch. Like, I'd never touched a weight or hammer. It was tough, man. It was really hard. It brought me to definitely some lows, like, during that time.
Yeah. No, I feel that, man. I started throwing weight this year. That ain't it. I started getting rips in my hand, and I was like, yeah, I don't know if this is for me. I don't really want to. Why are we doing this? This stuff doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
But what was it like when you initially, like, obviously starting out getting tough? When did you finally have, like, your successful moments and everything, like building to, by the end of it, being on a full ride and everything and scoring and stuff like that?
Yeah. So, a little bit different at a smaller school, smaller conference. The opportunity for me to get scholarship was definitely different than if I were to go to a Power 5. Freshman year, I threw the weight 14 meters, fouled out of conference. Didn't get any money then, obviously.
Yeah.
Sophomore years, when I really took it upon myself, I was tired of hearing, man, you have so much potential. Man, you're 6'4". Man, you can do this. I was tired of hearing that. And so I really just put my nose to the grindstone, got after it. Sophomore year is when I started having a little bit of success. I opened up with 17 meters my sophomore year, and I was like, whoa, like, I'm making finals. I'm starting to get in the invite sections of some meets and stuff like that. I'm in a position to score, if not win, conference. And so after sophomore indoor, I got second at conference. My teammate got first. And so they handed me $10,000. It wasn't a full at that time, but they handed me $10,000 athletic.
Nice.
What? So that was super cool. That was my first little taste of, scoring at conference, getting second, and losing to my teammate was the best feeling ever. People are like, man, I think you get it first. I'm like, hey, but we just scored 18 points,
Yeah.
So that was my first little bit of, I think a little bit of the hard work starting to pay off, if you will.
100%. You said that was your sophomore year?
Yeah.
Oh, heck yeah. I was about to say, because I'm with, like, 100% when you said the scholarship's different. Like, if you compare, like, to us at Alabama, like, the amount of people that they have and everything, it's just completely different. Now,
Correct.
and also, like, I mean, to score at our conference in the weight, I mean, you got to throw like 21 meters or something. So it's also just they're really good. It's fun though. It's fun to throw against them and compete.
Yeah, no, that was the cool part. That's what kind of, put a little bit of a chip on my shoulders when we go to these Clemson, these South Carolina meets. It was, from my perspective, just being in the same meet with Alabama, Clemson, South Carolina guys, it just caused me to go back and work harder. It's like, hey, you're nothing. You're a small fish in a small pond. These guys are making nationals. You're not doing anything. So it was huge for me,
No, 100%. I was about to say, when I first got to Alabama, like, there was probably 3 or 4 different people that were, like, competing for national championships that I was, like, right there around. And it was just, like, it was really cool to experience and also humbling and also just, like, very motivating for sure.
Yeah.
But how did you end up, like, after sophomore year and finishing out at Charleston Southern? What was that like, basically? And you eventually transferred to Samford. So, like, was that just graduate school, or, like, what exactly happened to cause that?
Yeah, so I started college in 2017, and then I'll take you through. So after sophomore year, had a great outdoor season. I came back from an injury, got third in hammer. They scored a couple points in discus, scored a couple points in shot. And so at that point, for my junior year, they put me on the full. They were like, hey, you're way too valuable. And I was thinking about transferring. I was, because I was starting to, push that like 18-meter boundary in weight. And I think I threw like 54 in hammer that year. And so I was just really starting, like, I felt like someone could mold me into a monster. I'm 6'4", pushing 270, and it's just a lot of opportunity. But so I came back. I was like, I'm on a full. Like, I'm not leaving. There's just no chance. So I came back junior year, and then junior year, my year was when they canceled outdoor for COVID. So they sent us all home.
Okay.
And then I came back senior year, which was quote unquote my junior year. And when I came back that fall, Thanksgiving, I knew I had been thinking about wanting to transfer for my grad year because I just want a different coaching perspective, man. I had really enjoyed my coach, Coach B. He was awesome, man. He gave me an incredible opportunity. But at the same time, at that point, he didn't know what to do with me after, throwing, high 18-meter throws. Like, he didn't have the capacity, like maybe someone Yush could speak in and just kind of be like, hey, we need to be doing more heavy ball work or this or that. And there was no structure in our practices, and it just felt like we were doing the same thing, expecting a different result. And that's when I entered the portal Thanksgiving year of my senior year at Charleston Southern. Started talking to schools, and then I was still in the portal for the season because I wanted to set it up like, I know I'm going to have a big year. I know I'm going to have big throws. And then so I ended up throwing I really didn't throw that far on the weight that year. I threw like 1870, and I threw 59 like 3 times in comp in the hammer, but it was enough for Samford to be like, hey, come on, let's do it. So.
Heck yeah. And like, obviously I don't know exactly what the coach was like at Charleston Southern, but I know Coach Tom, and I know that he had all types of different things. So like, what was your experience like with with Coach?
Coach Tom, man, he is an interesting character, man. I watched that interview because I wanted to see what he said, man. You got to be around him, man. He's an interesting, strange European man. And, man, he's got some incredible ideas. And I think, he changed my perspective on American throwing altogether. Because I think American throwing, I don't know if you agree with this, but, like, we kind of depend on our coach for so long. And his thing is to, like, get you away from a coach and build that autonomous factor of, like, you're the master of your throw. You're going to learn what's best for you at this point, and that's how you grow as a thrower. And I had always been real dependent on my coach. Like, what do I do next? What do I need to do? Well, how'd that look? This and that. And so he completely ripped that away from me, that dependency, which was great, along with, some really creative drills they've been doing in Lithuania and stuff like that, and more core work. So it was a great experience, man.
No, yeah, I was about to say, me and him talked about like different like training stuff and everything. And I don't know, I've never been coached that way. I've always just kind of, I don't know, when I first started out, I actually like learned from YouTube, so it did kind of feel like, yeah, it did kind of feel like it was just me. It was kind of really me teaching myself. Like I was just throwing in my like grandparents' backyard and just like doing it that way. But no, I mean, I know Coach Tom is like, I'll see the USA Javelin Project stuff and different things, all the different stuff that he'd be doing. But he's definitely interesting. And he'll get talking about all types of different stuff. It was actually funny the first time I met him, and obviously now I know him, and he's like multiple-time Olympian and all this, and it's like really cool. But the first time I met him, we were at the track meet, and I didn't know who he was. He just was the coach for Hoover at the time. But I could tell, like, obviously he's a big dude out there. I didn't know who he was. And me and him were talking about throwing and everything. He started showing me videos of like at the Olympic Training Center. Like it was like Maggie Ewan and Krauser and all these people. And I was just like, he could tell that I didn't know who he was or something. And I was like, yeah, I'm sorry, man. I don't know. And he showed me his name tag. And then I looked at his name and I was like, I'm sorry, man. And then, but like, obviously now I talk to him all the time, and I just didn't know. Javelin's not the most. I don't know. I don't understand why. He said on there, he said he understood why it's like that with the javelin only being like 20 states. I know in Alabama we did like a rubber tip, and it was always, we had some very, very not smart and just out of control people, and we never hit nobody, never hurt nobody with a javelin. So I think it should be allowed and stuff. But the hammer I understand, because I wouldn't want to be at a high school meet on hammer. That would be terrifying. In some instances for sure. But yeah, no. One thing I want to ask you though is, what do you do like now, like after throwing?
Yeah, man. So I got done. My last competitive season was 2022 with Samford, and man, I definitely just got to say, like, I probably ended on like the highest of high end on as a student athlete. Like, I don't really think, like, a lot of guys who get done throwing, man, wish they would have done this or did that. And I just am super grateful Like I qualified for East that year. I broke the school record. I won conference indoor and outdoor. You know, it was just a special year. So to come off that and immediately go into a grad assistant position the next year was tough on me.
Yeah.
I was a grad assistant for the team, so I was still learning under Tom and under Tiffin, but like it was like the highest of highs. It was like, all right, now you're just like bottom again, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was tough. But nowadays, to answer your question, so I got into real estate. So now I'm a realtor in Birmingham and surrounding areas. I'll even do some business down in T-Town if I have to.
Nice.
And it's a ton of fun, man. It's a real busy world, kind of like athletics. And so it's I think it fits me really well.
Heck yeah. And obviously, you were talking about your last year at Samford. Like, what do you think was the most important things you did to get from like that, like what you were doing at Charleston, to then at Samford actually breaking their school record, throwing further, doing what you did? Like, what do you think was the difference in that?
Man, that's a good question. And you know, I kind of reflect on this sometimes. And at Charleston Southern, man, I couldn't throw over 60 my last year. I couldn't throw 59 or over 59. And I was 0.07 away from breaking their school record. And it haunts me to this day.
Yeah.
Samford kind of presented that same challenge. The record was like 60.1 or something. So it was like, all right, I still know I got to do it. And it was more mental up here than anything. I was in the best physical shape both years. I was moving really well both years. I was pretty explosive both years. It was all just up here for me. It was like, hey, man, what are you going to do to actually do it? I was so obsessed with throwing 60 that it was just completely moving farther and farther away from me. If I had just gone out there and just been relaxed tension, and just hit it with some like, you know, tension and speed, I would have probably did it all year. But I had to make it stressful on my coaches and staff and wait till I didn't throw over 58 the whole outdoor, and then I threw 59 at conference, and then I threw 61.49 at a last chance meet.
Nice.
So I think the biggest difference was growing up a little bit. It's just trying to compete a little more mature and just, you know, not focus on that number, but focus on what needs to happen in the circle to get there.
Yeah. And this probably, or we got a few more questions, but one thing I definitely wanted to ask you, because I think you got an interesting perspective on it, being you threw basically your senior year through 46, 125, which isn't bad, but it's not like fantastic, especially like scholarship money. And
yeah.
So what would your advice be to people like that, like high school kids that are throwing like around that, to try maybe reaching out to coaches or like that, because you were in that experience? Like, what would your advice be to them?
Man, that's a good question. Because I didn't really reach out to coaches. It was just a weird situation, and you know, everyone's going to be different.
Yeah.
But I do love what I think the ECU throws coach said this one time on one of his posts. I can't remember his name, but he said, "Recruit the thrower, not the throw." And I think coaches that can look past numbers sometimes and look at, you know, genetics and look at, you know, your competitive will, like if you've, you know, won state and, you know, beat someone multiple times in a row, like being a mental competitor, I think that is something that is a lot bigger than just numbers on a screen, because that's how track is. You know, it is. You score points, you're worth this amount of money. Yeah. So it is really hard for them to rationalize that. But I think if you're a kid who wants to go experience college athletics, reach out to every school that interests you and reach out to every other school around you and just start breaking down doors till one of them lets you in. That'd be my advice.
No, 100%. Especially at like the smaller schools, because with the transfer portal and the way that stuff goes now, like you can go places and actually make more money and get more scholarship, and then later transfer and still end up going to the bigger school, like if that's something you want to do. But I mean, you could compete at East Regionals and could have made nationals like from that school. So it's like it's not, you can still get to the final end goal, but like obviously if you want to compete at SECs or something like that, you have to be at that type of school. But like, I mean, you can still do most of everything you need from one of those schools. That's a lot easier, and it's still difficult, but it's a lot just off of numbers. It's like easier to score and stuff like that. But it's still a really good option. And if you're not at the top, like sometimes that can be discouraging and stuff. So it's good to just know that there's a path that way that you can do that is helpful and is like can actually work out.
That's a good point, man. And one thing my dad always told me, if I was kind of going through a rough patch, man, he was like, And I think this is good perspective for you, for guys around you, guys, like us, man, that are grinders. Is like, man, the fact that we took on the challenge of being a college athlete is not something to be minimized. I can look back at that now and be like, so many people would love to be in our spot, and they'd love to be where we're at competing, so just a little perspective.
No, 100%. I mean, I forget what it is, the number, but there's not that many athletes at Alabama and everything. They always will love throwing that number around, like at the meetings and stuff. So yeah, no, it's definitely interesting, and it's difficult whenever like the people that come in. It's so like if you're that good, it's like you've got 6 different places that are looking for you, so it's kind of a different perspective. But I also have like when people reach out to me and everything, and we'll be talking like in different numbers they're throwing, and it's like there's people from my high school team that I didn't even actually end up like really seeing it. They were like a few years younger than me, but they ended up going to smaller schools, and I saw them at like a meet last year, and I was competing, and it had me. I was hyped. I was hyped to see them, and it wasn't like they were throwing something like super great, but they worked hard, and I had like helped them. Like I would usually help like coaching and stuff, and they had done really well and competed for our state and everything, and so like it was just stuff like that where it's like there's still, if you want to continue that, if you still have that drive and you just still want to do it, like there's still an option there to be able to do it.
Yeah, I completely agree, man. I mean, yeah, just I completely agree how you put it.
For sure. No, and one more thing I guess I just got to ask, because I know, especially now like SECs and stuff are coming up. I don't know if you keep up with like everything, but like you got any predictions? Like what do you think's gonna happen, SECs or NCAA's this year?
Man, I haven't kept up with SECs this year.
Yeah, or just any conference. I don't know what. But
no, but NCAA's, man, it's going to be real interesting in the weight throw, the men's weight throw. I've kept up a little bit with that.
Oh yeah,
it's going to be real exciting to see what Ruben does. He's a dog. He's a freak, man. I love the way Keebway coaches. So to know that his background is there, mixed with Yush, man, that's elite, son.
Oh yeah, no, he's been throwing really well. So obviously I'm biased. I think.
Yeah, that's okay. I feel a little biased too.
He's getting it done 100%. But I mean, Tariq and I forget the kid from the Illinois kid. They're both really good. We were at the meet last year. I don't know if you've ever seen him before, but he's ginormous. He's a big kid. But
Tariq, disgusting. I helped recruit the kid that. So there's a kid at Samford, Eli Penix, and he was a 67-foot shot putter out of high school, as well as Tariq was around there somewhere, and they were both at like a lot of meets together. And man, Eli would talk about him just at high school meets, man, just how intense he is and just get after it. I don't know if it's changed now, but he's a dog. Throws the hammer like 71 for a sophomore. That's insane.
Yeah, no, he's a really good thrower. He just does everything, like he does a lot of stuff right, and he's big, he's strong, like it makes sense when you watch him throw it. It doesn't surprise me it goes that far. But I mean, obviously, if you're asking me, especially SECs is coming up, Ruben's getting it done, no problem, no doubt about it.
Who else is up there with him in SEC? Is anybody even close?
Honestly, I don't believe there's so Luke from LSU, he's thrown 22.3, I'm pretty sure, and I think that's the closest one. But I mean, it's going to be Tariq went 23.59, Ruben went 23.88. It's going to be great. Next Friday, it's going to be a beautiful.
Gosh, man, do you remember when Isaiah Rogers at Kennesaw State was throwing?
I do.
So and he won natties, man. That was wicked. I don't know why I brought that in, but that just reminded me of that.
Yeah, that was we were great throw, and I'm happy that he won. It was really entertaining, but we was hurt because he beat Bob on the last throw, but hey, Bob won the.
I was gonna get your opinion on that, man. I was at a wedding with Bob last year, and we didn't chat about that, but man, I love Bob. I love talking to him. He's a good dude. I was gonna see how he felt about that, but.
No, yeah, I love Bob. I love Bob too, and yeah, I mean. It is what it is. He threw decent, and that's just how it goes sometimes. At the end, especially when you get like that in the finals and you're not last, that's a tough situation because it's kind of like all that energy's built up, all that adrenaline's built up. Especially in the weight, I think it's kind of an advantage, especially to go last. We had it earlier this year Ruben went last. It was at the not this last Clemson meet, but the other one. Or I don't think he went last, but it was in the 6th round. It's just all that adrenaline. And he goes 23 meters. And
you're either gonna throw it into the cage or you're gonna throw a new PR. That's what's gonna happen.
Yeah, exactly. No, there was a lot of times that the Clemson meet, people were throwing it into the dang. They hit a window, like it was crazy. The girl from Clemson that throws the weight can throw incredibly far. She moves so fast, but whenever she throws it off, it'll go way off. Like it was kind of scary to me, but it was fun. It was fun, especially this last one. I mean, I don't know how many people. It's probably like 8 or 9 different people hit the sidewall. But
Man.
no, man. I appreciate your time, man. I appreciate you coming on, man. It's been a good time talking to you, Ken.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man. I coach at Mountain Brook now, so I'm helping out with them. So Northridge has some good girls this year, and that you're talking so much trash to me. It's hilarious. I'm like, give me some time. Well, I'll get there.
You said it was our girls. There were girls that were talking trash, or who was it?
No, your coach. Your coach is talking trash to me.
Oh, hey, listen. That's fair. I know they won indoor state, at least on the men's side. So my dad coaches for them, so that was actually he was hyped about that. So.
Oh, is he? Okay. What's his name?
Coach Cooper. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah. Yeah, man. I appreciate you coming on, man. And yeah.
I appreciate you telling my story, man. It's cool, man. I appreciate you doing this.
Heck yeah. Oh, and yeah, one more thing, I guess. Do you have like your Instagram or whatever? Like you can just say like, or if you have anything to promote.
Yeah, man. Y'all go follow me, Seth _Wolfe Realtor. So go check it out.